Look, understanding the purpose and the power of marketing is incredibly important. There are a lot of moving parts. I talk a lot about content creation, video marketing, podcasting, SEO, all of these different pieces. And sometimes it can feel like there are so many pieces, and how do they all fit together in this mysterious puzzle that is marketing? So today I wanted to invite you into a different style video than I typically do on this channel to have a really strong deep dive into marketing, the different phases of marketing, where all of these different elements fit in. And that's exactly what we're going to do today. So let us get into this in-depth video to help you master your marketing. Hey there again. Welcome back to the Brandmerry channel, where we are sharing branding and marketing tips to help you create more income and impact. As I mentioned in that teaser, this video is going to be a little different. I've got my notes here. We're going to have a lot of stuff coming up on the screen because we are going to be talking about the big picture view of marketing. It's really important to understand the big picture in order to understand how the little day-to-day things that you're doing fit into the big mix. And as I have teased in a few of my videos, marketing is a non-negotiable. We often talk about branding as the brand foundation, the foundation of your business. You need to understand your niche, your ideal customer, your offer, your messaging, those different elements in order for all of your marketing to work. The branding phase is not something that you're constantly nitpicking or constantly doing. You might revisit it a few times a year, but the marketing is happening daily. It is how you're ultimately gaining leads, getting new community members, and making sales in your business. So I want to share with you, what does it all mean? Let's take the mystery out of marketing and instead feel empowered so we can master it. So the first thing that we're going to talk about is this funnel. Now, maybe you've seen this before. I'm going to go ahead and put the drawing up on the screen here. But this is an upside down triangle or a funnel for your prospects. Now, in the very first section, the largest section, you have your cold audience. These are people who don't know you at all, nothing about your brand. Then in the second section down, we have your warm audience. So once someone has, kind of gotten to know you a little bit, they've been warmed up via your content, some of the things that they've seen online, they've joined your email list, and they're starting to really build up that trust with your brand. At the very, very bottom, we have your hot leads. These are essentially people who are ready to purchase or are already paying customers, and we're really focused on retention with them. So as you can see from this diagram, we really want to make sure that people are coming in the top consistently. And this is where marketing comes into play. Often in the industry, we talk about it like a faucet. So you want to turn that faucet on so that it's constantly coming in. Anytime you turn it off, the bottom is going to dry up. And that's where your paying clients are coming from. So this idea of consistent leads coming in is incredibly important. Now, one thing I want to mention is that the time frame from cold to hot is going to be different for everyone. I talk about that process a little bit more in depth inside of my customer buying process video, which you can go ahead and watch here, and we've also linked it below. That explains a little bit more about the phases that customers go through before making a purchase. So you might attract someone at phase 1, aka not even thinking about buying anything, or phase 5, aka ready to purchase. They could be coming in at any part of those markers. And that's important to note because even though we have this upside down triangle here, we have this funnel, we're focused on bringing in leads, someone could move through this funnel in as little as 10 minutes. Somebody might take 6 months to a year. And we're going to talk about how you kind of lead them through the process in the second part of this video. But let's do a scenario right here. So let's say that someone finds you on Google. One of the things that I love to teach inside of Brandmerry Academy is the power of SEO. We have an entire marketing course on SEO and how to use it to your benefit as a business owner. So someone is Googling your product or your service, they find you on Google, they land on your website, they consume a piece of your content, so they've moved into the warm phase, and then they're immediately like, okay, yes, this is perfect, submit an application or purchase, And it all happens within 10 minutes. That person was a little bit further along in the buying process, but as you can see, they went through your funnel very quickly. The same might happen where someone discovers a piece of your content on Pinterest. They go to your website, they read your blog, they opt into your email list. On your email list, you give them an offer to buy something and they buy immediately. We see this happen quite a bit when it comes to evergreen marketing strategies, which is why we're obsessed with teaching them inside of the academy. And then we also have members who have been on our email list for years sometimes before they're ready to buy. But it's been through that warm-up phase, creating content, showing up for them, that they stayed. And when they were ready to purchase, they were coming to this brand, my brand, because of the relationship that I had built. So I always want you to remember this diagram because this just shows us how important it is to consistently be marketing and getting in front of a cold audience so that we can then move them through the funnel. So a few years ago when I was planning to launch Brandmerry Academy, my marketing membership, I wanted to think about a way for my clients to think about marketing in phases. You know, we have this fancy, so fancy, upside down triangle with your cold, warm, and hot audience, but what does that actually mean? What's happening at each of those stages? And that's when I created a 3-part marketing system. And this is really the foundation of everything that we teach inside of our marketing membership when we teach our different strategies like SEO, Pinterest, video marketing. So I want to go ahead and share that with you and talk through these different phases. This is where we're going to talk about how all the little bitty things that you're doing with your marketing, where they actually fit in to the bigger marketing picture. So the very first one is going to be the awareness phase. So the awareness phase is when someone is suddenly aware of your brand. So they didn't know about you before, but then they discover a piece of content, a piece of valuable content that makes them aware of your brand and what you provide. This phase right here is just more proof that evergreen marketing strategies are so important, because evergreen marketing strategies like the video that you're watching right now or the blog that you're reading are pieces of content that continue to perform over and over, year after year. And so by putting those pieces of content out there, you always have, ways for someone to discover you and enter into this awareness phase. So this is that brand awareness, right? They're suddenly aware of your brand and maybe what it can do for them. Then the second phase that they would move into, I call the attraction phase. This is when they're suddenly like, oh, I am totally into this brand and what they're sharing, and I want to know more. I often use the imagery of a little bunny where their ears perk up and they're like, yes, oh my gosh, tell me more. I am ready. What else do you got for me? That's the attraction phase. This area right here is where your email list building strategies come into play. So typically someone who's moved into this phase will be ready to join your email list. They'll be ready to, give their email to you, which I always say is like currency, okay? Give that to you so that invite you into their world, invite you into their inbox so that they can learn more about you and from you and ultimately how you can help them solve their problem. So this phase is incredibly important. Then we move into the third phase, and the third phase is called the connection phase. This is the moment where someone has moved from being attracted to what you're saying to being fully connected to your brand. And at the connection phase, this is where we find that you're really building that trust, know, like, and trust factor that gets people to buy. We know that purchase decisions are based on an emotional connection. One of my favorite quotes that I discovered when I was starting my business from Zig Ziglar says, if people like you, they'll listen. If they trust you, they'll do business with you. So this connection phase is really focused on building the trust, and we have a lot of different marketing strategies that help us do just that. While the triangle that we shared in the beginning just shows the power of marketing and why it's so important to constantly be getting people in front of your brand, this second part, this 3 phases of marketing, kind of shows step by step the process that someone might be going through. Now, let's talk about the different strategies that you're going to use at each of these phases. Okay, so at the awareness phase, again, just to reiterate, these are people who don't know anything about you. Nothing. Nada. And so you can probably imagine that content creation is really important at this phase because it is typically some form of content that is going to bring a new audience member in, whether they're discovering it via Google or a friend is sharing it out, or they just happen to land on your content on an amazing platform like YouTube or Pinterest. Special shout out there. Whatever it is, content creation is really, really important at this stage. This is also where, as I mentioned before, you want to focus on evergreen marketing strategies. So having strong SEO so that someone could discover you on Google. Also using Pinterest SEO, showing up on Pinterest. The Pinterest search engine in and of itself is built on keywords. So any platform, YouTube's another great example, any platform that really harnesses the power of keyword research is great for bringing in a cold audience. And it's even better for bringing in a cold audience that is more likely to convert. Whereas platforms like Facebook or Instagram, although could be helpful at this stage, not my favorite, but could be helpful at this stage, are less likely to maybe bring in someone that is definitely going to purchase from you or bring in someone that will, convert in a shorter time frame. And the reason for that is you're just putting content out there on social media. People aren't necessarily searching for it. They're stumbling upon it. Whereas these other platforms like Google Search, YouTube, Pinterest, people are searching for very specific things, very specific solutions to their problem. You're showing up, so they're already further along in their whole buying journey than somebody maybe on social media. So Google Search, Pinterest search, video marketing. As I've mentioned before, YouTube is my favorite because of the keyword element, but we're also seeing a rise in like TikTok and Reels because they have the ability to go viral, that those can also be useful if you are dead set on starting with social media. I thought I'd give you a couple there. Another one that I don't think enough entrepreneurs and specifically educators talk about is the power of public relations. Oh my gosh. I recommend my clients get started with public relations rather quickly in their journey. There's actually no better time than to start in the beginning because building up that expertise sometimes can take a little while, and even landing some really good PR situations can take a little bit. This is actually my background. This is my major, and I worked in the PR industry for a while. So when I launched Brandmerry Academy, I 100% knew we were going to have a public relations training inside. And many of my clients have used it to land speaking gigs and to be on podcasts and so on and so forth. So don't neglect being a guest on someone else's channel. The reason that this is really powerful is that they're inviting you into their community. So right away, the trust factor is already there, right? That audience is already going to trust you by default because the person that they trust, the host, trusts you. There's a lot of trust happening. So those people are actually more likely to move through that journey faster than again, social media or something like that. Think about different ways that you could harness the power of podcasting, being a guest specifically on a podcast, guest blogging or guest writing, doing an interview, something like that. So again, this awareness stage, these are some of the examples that we talked about, is where you are going to get in front of a cold audience on a consistent basis. If right now it feels like you're constantly searching and trying to find your ideal customer, I highly suggest you switch the way you're delivering your content, the platforms that you're using, and let your audience find you. This is what we teach inside of Brandmerry Academy. Moving into the second phase that we talked about, which was the attraction phase, this is where all of my lovers of social media will be very, very happy. Look, I know it sounds like I'm constantly bashing social media, and I don't love it. I really don't. But sometimes I have a lot of fun on it, and I started to change my focus around social media. I used to use social media in the awareness phase, meaning I was trying to find clients on the platform, and it just wasn't working out to my benefit. Then when I started integrating these evergreen strategies, I was able to take a step back from social media and move social media to the attraction phase. So someone who has already discovered me on a different platform now might follow me on social media. And it took the pressure off. I got to show up and build trust and share my expertise and have more fun with it, knowing that this audience was more likely to convert because they already knew me. I wasn't using social media to find them or even attract them. I was using it to nurture them. So this is where social media can be incredibly helpful. Once somebody is already warmed up to you, knows your brand, you can integrate social media to continue to build that connection, leading to the sale. So social media is a fantastic way to do that. Think video content, post, Instagram stories, all of those fun things that we either like to create or don't like to create, all right? And this also helps because when social media is at the attraction phase, it takes the pressure off. You're not feeling like you have to show up every single day. It's just freaking magic. At this stage, we're also really focused on your email marketing. As I mentioned before, once someone discovers you and they're attracted, this is a fantastic place to get them onto your email list. So this is why having a lead magnet is so important. Having a way for someone to give you their name and their email address to get onto your email list is so important when it comes to marketing. And we recommend that all of our clients get this set up very quickly. In fact, it's right there inside of Brandmerry Academy. We have an entire program called Funnel in a Weekend, which walks you through step-by-step how to build your opt-in page and set up your freebie and set up your funnel in as little as 3 days. So if you've been struggling with that, I highly recommend you check out Brandmerry Academy. But at the attraction phase, we're really focused on moving them into that kind of like inner circle, getting them to follow us on social media, joining and subscribing our email list. We're starting to continue to show up and create content for them. And you don't have to create new content at every single stage of the process. The same content that you're creating at the awareness stage can also work at the attraction stage. What we're doing now is we're just making sure that this audience actually sees it. So we're using social media and our email marketing to get our content in front of our audience. So I email my audience about my YouTube videos every single week. I email and post about my podcast every single week. Anytime I'm creating something new, I'm making sure that my attracted audience is seeing it, because again, that's just going to continue to build that trust and that authority, ultimately leading to the sale. This is also where public relations can be an amazing, amazing strategy as it builds authority. So while we were really focused on public relations in the awareness stage as just getting in front of new people, we can also use the exact same strategy to build trust with our existing audience. I've been featured on some amazing platforms like CNBC and Fast Company and Authority Magazine. And I've also been on some really big podcasts. And I will tell you that every time I am featured on one of those outlets, I make sure I tell my existing audience about it. Because what has happened time and time again is it will boost my authority. And so my audience who has maybe been eyeing and watching and is like really interested to move forward but not 100% sure, sometimes that will be the piece that has them going, okay, this is the person for me. Because someone else has highlighted my knowledge. Someone else has highlighted my expertise. And so that can be a decision maker for a lot of your audience that is just kind of sitting there and waiting. Because in reality, a lot of them are. So again, you're not creating new public relations content. You're just using it to help with this stage of the process as well. So I hope that you can see that, you can create one piece of content or you can do one thing and it can serve every single stage or every single phase of marketing. And that leads us to the connection phase. So in the connection phase, again, we're just continuing to share our content. We're continuing to, be there and build trust with our audience. But there is one thing that I think plays such a vital role in this phase, and that's storytelling. So storytelling is like my baby. It's my sweet spot. I love talking about brand storytelling and specifically how to tell better micro stories in your content. So on your blogs and your social media, in your videos. When I first started my business, I stumbled upon storytelling, and when I started integrating it into my content for my very, very small audience, I noticed that they started responding and they started buying. In fact, I remember one of my very first live streams that I did. to the same audience, the same 10 people I'd been showing up for months, and someone emailed me and said that they were ready to move forward and have a discovery call, and we ended up working together. And I know that it was because I started to become more relatable and I started to share more stories. I started to appear more human, more approachable, and my audience really responded to that. So storytelling can be a fantastic way to convert your audience, especially if they are small. It's something that I've used multiple times in my business. In fact, I just did it in this video, if you caught that. And I highly recommend that you integrate that and really use that to your advantage in the connection phase. So if you're launching something, if you're, really wanting to fill a spot in your program, if you've got something new that you want to share, a new product that you want to share, really harness the power of storytelling and watch as, again, those audience members, those people who've been sitting in the attraction phase, move very quickly into connection and buy your product. Storytelling is something that I really dive into in depth inside of Brandmerry Academy. In fact, it's our very first phase where we talk about branding and storytelling. So again, if you want support with that, I suggest you check out Brandmerry Academy because at the time of this recording, doors are open. And if they're not, when you watch this, you can join the waitlist at brandmerryacademy.com. So I know I shared a lot of content in this video, a lot of training. I love nerding out about this stuff. This is the type of in-depth knowledge that you get inside of the Academy. But I wanted to take a second to just quickly recap and talk about some of the top tips that I recommend to master your marketing. So number one is, again, make sure that you're consistently getting leads in your business. So this is really going to help if you're tapping into evergreen marketing strategies, keeping that faucet turned on, all right? I also want you to remember that it's not about doing more. I didn't share all these different phases with you so that you think you have to have new content at every single phase. What I want you to see by looking at this is how you can be more strategic with your marketing strategies. So for instance, if you're just relying on social media, you're probably missing out a great deal on the awareness stage. If you switched your focus to creating more evergreen content like a blog or a YouTube video or a podcast, you would increase the awareness stage. You'd be able to repurpose that content to use in the attraction and the connection phase. And then if you had storytelling, ba-bam, you are good to go. So it's not about doing more. It's about being really strategic with your time, with your marketing strategies. And honestly, this is the reason that I created Brandmerry Academy. I also think it's really important to always have the client journey in the back of your mind. I know that a lot of people like to say that if someone doesn't buy from you right away, like they're not meant to be your ideal customer, or if someone's not ready to purchase in this moment, then don't waste your time on them. Please, 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 please don't believe that. You will have people who are ready to purchase because they're further along in the client buying journey. But you will also have people who are not ready because they are just at the beginning stages. By honoring these three phases, you are going to move them through the client buying journey. You're not saying, peace out, sorry. You're saying, hey, you are welcome here. Here is some really valuable pieces of content. I'm here when you're ready, and they will be ready. It is that trust. It is that connection to your brand that is going to have them coming back for more. And when you can build that really early on, you'll find that your retention rate for clients is also better because they already trust you, so they're more likely to continue to do business with you. As I've mentioned a few times in this video, everything that I'm teaching here is inside Brandmerry Academy. Brandmerry Academy is my marketing membership that teaches you how to market without relying on social media. It's really focused on taking back your time as an entrepreneur and spending it on, the things that you wanted to do when you decided to become an entrepreneur, like travel, time with your family, just sitting alone on the couch and not creating content. The doors are open right now to Brandmerry Academy, and I highly suggest if you're watching this video that you go and you check it out. You can go to brandmerryacademy.com. You can also click the link below in the description. I would love to support you inside of this program and watch as the strategies that we're teaching you on SEO, Pinterest, video marketing, building your brand, storytelling, all of those different things completely transform the way that you run your business. Again, head to brandmerryacademy.com to learn more, and I will see you next Monday with a brand new video.